welcome to the Policy Answers webinar, the 7th Policy Answers webinar, in fact. Today we are meeting with Barna Kovacs, who is the Secretary General of the BIOEAST Initiative, as well as the Hungarian Counselor to the EU. And I want to introduce myself first. I am Elke Dall. I work for the Center for Social Innovation in Austria, and I am the coordinator of the Policy Answers project. In the frame of this project, we are having quite a few activities that are related to, let's say, the broader Green Deal, green transition activities, and bioeconomy. Today, we invited Barna as a guest speaker to talk about the topic of adding value to the biomass in Eastern Europe and Western Balkans. And other products of our project are a policy report, quite extensive, and a policy brief on the green transition in the Western Balkans that you find online on the website that is also indicated here on the screen. And also we published just recently a dedicated newsletter on the bioeconomy, also with an interview. And we invite everyone who listens to this webinar now or online on YouTube to subscribe to our newsletter to receive further newsletters in your inbox. So apart from this newsletter, we invite you to regularly visit our website, our social media channels. We are on Facebook and LinkedIn, and also on YouTube, where you will also find the recording of this webinar. And we invite you also to join our networking platform, which is a B2Match stakeholder platform, where you can also arrange bilateral meetings with other stakeholders and discuss about topics that we are raising in our activities, such as this webinar. It's not the first webinar. Actually, it's, as I said before, already the 7th. So the previous ones are all available on the mentioned YouTube channel. But now let me come to the one that we are having here today. So Barna, I will immediately give the floor to you. I know that you're going to introduce also the BioEAST initiative, and in particular the outreach that you are planning and that you are currently already doing towards the Western Balkans region. So I think this is best explained by you, and also as Hungary has currently the Council presidency, I know you are very busy, and I would like to thank you for taking the time, for sharing your thoughts with us, and for introducing this important priority also of the Hungarian Council presidency. So with this, I would like to hand over and stop sharing my slides, and hope it works for you to take the floor and to give your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. Please confirm whether you can see my slides.
I confirm, and it looks wonderful. Yes, it's all there.
Okay, and then it's moving. Yeah, okay, good. I think I have to thank you for your invitation. I am very pleased to be present and to be here with you. Let me know if the slides are not rolling, or if I am not visible or something's problem during the presentation. So on my hand, I would like to present myself. My name is Barna Kovacs. As it was said, I'm Secretary General for the BIOEAST Initiative. Actually, I am sitting in Brussels. I am based in Brussels, and from here I am coordinating this initiative. I will have the second head for myself, as being also part of the team who is coordinating around the Hungarian EU presidency here in Brussels. And I am charged with research and innovation aspects of bioeconomy. So I will talk about that later on during my presentation. we give the title "Adding Value to the Biomass in Eastern Europe and Western Balkans" because there is a Hungarian presidency priority around this topic, and it was very much welcomed by the BIOEAST countries. But let me first start to present the BIOEAST initiative. The BIOEAST initiative, it's a governmental level initiative focusing on Central and Eastern Europe and put a vision for 2030 to develop knowledge-based and the cooperation-based circular bioeconomies in those countries, which have to enhance their inclusive growth, creating value added at rural areas, and even strengthening the sustainability aspects. This is the vision for the initiative. It's a governmental level, as I was telling to you and told you. There are today 11 Central and Eastern European countries: Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, the Visegrad 4, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Slovenia, Romania, and Bulgaria part of the group. And we have an observer for Western Balkan countries, which is called the Southeast Working Group on Rural Development initiative, which is covering mainly the agriculture ministries. In each of these countries, mainly the agriculture ministries were coming together. So the initiative has, on one hand, a focus on a geographical area, this macro region, and the other focus is around research and innovation. I will tell you a little bit later why we think that research and innovation it's very important. Let me still be with the presentation of the initiative. The structure means that in each of the 11 countries there is a national contact point sitting in the ministries. The ministries are the contact points towards other ministries who are affected by the biomass valorization, the research and innovation, basically those ministries who are dealing with bioeconomy related sectors. We had first some political agreements between the ministries at ministerial level, but then we realized that if we want to achieve and influence European policies, we need to have not just political declarations, but we have to develop also some background documentation. We need to prepare also data and knowledge based on which we can argue around the table, sitting around the table in Brussels, or little bit preparing our priorities to be understandable also for the other countries. So that's how we were creating thematic working groups, which means that we have 7 thematic working groups. In each working group, they are sitting ministry people together with scientists or experts from the field. We have a thematic working group on agroecology and sustainable yields, bioenergy and new value-added products, food system, forestry value chain, freshwater-based bioeconomy education and skills, and advanced biomaterials. We have a secretariat in Brussels, and we also have a project which is helping this initiative. The initiative has no legal entity. It's a political level initiative, but we have some projects which are running behind and they can help the work of these thematic working groups. And of course, also a little bit the secretariat. So this is the setup, but let me a little bit bring for you the context, because we are talking about biomass, but my main objective will not be the biomass, but I would like to understand you in your countries, in Western Balkan countries, why it's important and how we can add value to the local biomass. My first chart here, it's showing a little bit the biomass flows, and it's not that you have to understand how big is and how much biomass is produced in the EU, but I would like just to show you that from if we are taking from the input side, discussing about bioeconomy and biomass, we should see that we have to talk about several sectors, and we have to talk about several input lines, which means that we have from agriculture, from forestry, from freshwater, a big part of the biomass production, which is affecting on one hand food, feed, biomaterials, biomass for energy, and other aspects like food waste. We have some losses on the system. But also the lines they are showing for you also some of the differences on the values which we are using for energy, which we are using for food. So you can see that the food and feed it's taking more than half, 60, even 70% of the biomass what we are using. On the other hand, I want to show also by sectors what means the bioeconomy. Maybe some of you already know, some of you might come from the research and innovation background, or some of you might not be, might not have a knowledge on what means bioeconomy. But what I want to show to you here is that we have different sectors affected. On one hand, a lot of people, when we are talking about biomass, they are not associating that we are talking about on one hand food and feed, but we have to talk also about bioenergy sector, and it's what is not at all or not really in our perspective in our countries, including the Western Balkan, and I mean the BIOEAST countries, 11 BIOEAST countries, but also the Western Balkan, that we have to talk also material use of the biomass, the chemical sector, and that's a very important element which could give added value to our biomass. Still remaining with in general terms, I would like also to show you the value of the bioeconomy in the EU. We are talking about 10% of the EU GDP. It's taken by the bioeconomy. Bioeconomy added value is 2.35 trillion euro, and you can see also here which is brought by the agriculture, food and feed sector, and then a small part of chemical sector and bio-based industries, which is taking a part of the biomass. And where the added value is created basically when we start to talk about food, feed, bio-based industries and chemical sector. If we are talking about on bioeconomy and employment, you can see that it's about 16, in some figures even bigger, for employment of the bioeconomy. I do not want to keep you with all these data. I just wanted to show you that basically the employment which is coming behind the bioeconomy, it's on the primary sector, and then on the sectors which are giving and adding value to the biomass, it's a little bit less, but there is created the bigger added value on biomass. I would like, now it's, let me a little bit broaden the context. What we can see today that we have unprecedented heat waves, extreme weather conditions in all over Europe. This is a big challenge for the upcoming years and for upcoming decades, apparently. And moreover, due to the past and the ongoing crises, on one hand we had the COVID, on the other hand we have the different wars in the neighborhood. So there is a global crisis. On one hand, there is a big crisis with the supply chains. They are disrupted, and Europe it's at a crossroad. That's why I'm saying that it's a crossroad. We need to rethink the European context, which means on one hand food system security due to the supply chain problems and the income security of the producers and processors. On the other hand, we have problem with scarce natural resources, soil, freshwater, ecosystem services. They are in a bad condition. And then we have to mention also the societal aspect. The society is scattered and confused about the future pathways. Everybody it's challenged with what will happen with in the coming decades if we keep as we are doing now on economy. So there is a crisis situation, and the question is where we have here a room for maneuver. And what we think in the BIOEAST Initiative, we think that we should rethink the role of the bioresources produced and processed in Central and Eastern Europe, including the Western Balkan and Eastern Partnership countries, especially Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia, on contributing to, on one hand, to the EU and European food system security and the strategic autonomy of the EU, especially especially focusing on energy and industrial security. Not to mention, and of course it has to be mentioned here, all the sustainability aspects which we have to reach and targets which we have to reach up until the end of the mid-century. So in this context, the role and potential what we have in the biomass, giving to the food, feed security, energy and industrial security, it's very important. Our countries are biomass producers. The Eastern European part is biomass producers, but, and this is the but which is coming, that whether we can use this biomass potential properly or not, that's a big question. What we can think and see that we, on one hand, we have a biomass potential, but we don't have a strategic thinking on bioeconomy and biomass. We can clearly see that most of the European countries, well-developed countries, do have bioeconomy strategies. They are thinking in bioeconomy. They are valorizing their biomass based on a more systemic approach. They are valorizing the biomass in a broader context, as I was showing you with the biomass flow and with the different aspects of sectoral aspects of the bioeconomy. It needs a more comprehensive approach. Our countries still miss national strategies, regional strategies. However, I must say, and this is my second chart here with the small green dots, that more and more the regions picked up the idea of developing and adding value to the biomass, and they started to think on bioeconomy strategies. So I would like to emphasize that, this is very important to start to think in a systemic way in bioeconomy. Still, we are with the but, because when I am looking on the charts, turnover per employment in the bioeconomy, bio-based economy, so we are excluding the agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and food production, which are usually the traditional sectors for us. The bio-based economy turnover, it's very low. Now you can't see the Western Balkan countries, but I think it's very outspoken and it's very visible that the Eastern European countries turnover per employment, it's very low. Our productivity, it's extremely low, giving value to the biomass. I was bringing another aspect, which is not the biotech part, but more on the productivity or more on the agriculture and the food part. And I was bringing for you a little bit the gross value added per hectare in the Eastern European countries when we are comparing with the Netherlands, which is 5.85. And with the Hungarian one, which is 0.56 per hectare, the value added per hectare, we can clearly see that there is a big gap. Now, I am not saying that there is a potential to grow up until 5.85 because we have to consider in the near future the sustainability issues. But what we clearly can see that the EU 13 and the more developed countries, the EU 14, there is a big gap between, and we still can, in our countries, can develop and we can add value per hectare. So there is a potential on agriculture, forestry and fisheries related biomass production. That's my message from here in this productivity gap. And what is important also that we have a research gap also. The most important research program of Europe and most probably also at the global level, the Horizon Europe, the Eastern European countries' participation is under 10%. If we are focusing on FP7, FP Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe, this is a big program, research program, which defines the future priorities, not just research priorities, but through the research priorities, we are defining also policy priorities and knowledge-based policy setting. Our contribution, our participation of Eastern countries is under 10% altogether. So we clearly have a research gap in that context. I was bringing also another picture for you. If we are looking on innovation part, this is a CBGU. It's a public-private partnership. Some of your countries, I know that they are already participating in the CBGU partnership. They have they applied for finances in this joint undertaking. But what we clearly can see that where the joint undertaking develops and invests are those countries where you see the bigger green dots. There are a lot of demonstration plants and flagship biorefineries, modern biorefineries in the western part of Europe, and our countries are still missing them. We just have one or two or three or five, which it's this is very small number. And actually, the modern biorefinery is missing from our region. That's what I say, that we have an innovation gap. So all these having in mind, we clearly know that the bioeconomy could bring sustainability and could help in competitiveness, but still we need to consider what we should do and where we can have help and where we can use the bioeconomy. On one hand, Central and Eastern European macro region needs to have a sustainability transition. We need to build up a sustainable bioeconomy to be able to properly use in a sustainable way the biomass and to have the sustainability criteria reached up until the mid of the century. I am talking about 2030, 40, and 50 targets, what we think that we have to achieve. On the other hand, we clearly see that where the bioeconomy could help, it's on the Western Balkans, Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia's EU integration. That need to be facilitated. Moreover, as I was saying to you, based on the gaps which you saw it, we need to diversify. We should not have a very concentrated bioeconomy, biomanufacturing, biotech industry in the western part of Europe, and then and even not the whole West. We can clearly see that in Belgium, in the Netherlands, and the part of North France and a little bit in Germany, there is a very big concentration of biotech and value-added processes. We should bring it closer to the local level, closer to the biomass production countries. This processing, adding value to the biomass, it should happen also at local level. So these are the three aspects which we think that it's necessary to achieve. But how to achieve this? We still miss a lot of things at national level. On one hand, we miss definition at governmental level of the bioeconomy. What do we understand under the bioeconomy? We have an EU definition, but our countries, including Maya and including some of the Eastern European, 11 Eastern European countries, are missing the national level definition. We miss national strategies and action plan, which has to be focused to the new solution value chain and technology. We need to decide in our countries whether we are the buyers of the new technologies, or we want to develop new solutions and we want to be part of the pilot and demonstration programs, because it's very important that our countries are not just looking and waiting that the technology to be developed somewhere in other parts of the globe, and then we are buying a technology, but we should also be part of the research and innovation ecosystem, which is developing and continuously developing those technologies. Bioeconomy, including biotech and biomanufacturing, is still very much research and innovation driven. Lot of solutions are not yet ready. And what we see that we have a biomass, since we are not taking part in research and innovation, basically our biomass is valorized somewhere else in different countries. So where we can do and we can invest a little bit more on research and innovation and education at national level. If we are not doing this at national level, we will lose in a longer run on the sustainability and the competitiveness aspects, what could be created by those technologies. For harnessing the biomass potential of Central and Eastern Europe, then what is essential for us, what we clearly see, if we have the biomass, but we what miss improved conditions for innovation and knowledge creation, increased investment and long-term commitment in research, more efficient research funding and management structure, and human resource mobilization. It's very important aspect on one hand. So to invest in innovation, and we have to have a knowledge transfer. We have to have a long commitment from our countries. We need to see that if there is a long commitment of our countries in investing in a specific sector, then also the co-investments from Commission or other countries could be better channeled. We need a research management facility and funding agencies to be ready to manage the research and innovation funds. Otherwise, we cannot just trust to the universities, our private sector, to do the research management, because they do not have the capacity, and normally they should not, and they do not have also the skills to manage this. We need to build up an efficient funding structure, and of course the human resource mobilization is key. We have a brain drain in our countries, and we need to stop that, and for that one we need a targeted investment. I was bringing for you here a kind of stakeholder manifesto, which was initiated by the BIOEAST stakeholders. So not the ministries, but more the industry, the private sector, and the research institutions. They were signaling early this year actually, that we need to invest in Central and Eastern Europe. We need to focus research and innovation towards Eastern and Eastern Europe. I would kindly ask to check on the website, and if you agree to still to sign this manifesto, we need as many as possible signatures to signal towards Brussels, towards our countries, towards our ministries, towards our ministers, and towards our political level, that there is a big need at local level to mobilize the biomass, and we need for this mobilization we need still knowledge, we need research, we need innovation aspects to be mobilized. By this, I was reaching and ending to the. I would like to end with the Hungarian presidency priorities. I was behind the BIOEAST, and I am still behind the BIOEAST initiative as a Secretary General. And during the past 10 years, discussions were materializing now during the Hungarian presidency, because we initiate and we want to initiate to agree on the necessity of a large-scale pan-European but geographically focused research and innovation partnership, aiming to make this partnership a priority for the new Commission for the all EU. So what we put on the agenda of discussions at the Council at European level, that we need to have this geographically focused research and innovation partnership, focusing on Eastern Europe, focusing not just on BIOEAST countries, but on the Western Balkan countries, Eastern Partnership countries, Ukraine, Moldova, and even Georgia. I would say here we should look the biomass potential of these countries in a block. The whole Eastern European bloc can bring a lot to the European level. And we were mentioning and we proposed to agree on 4 thematic priority areas. On one hand, soil health, freshwater resilience, food system security, and biomanufacturing, biomass valorization at the local level. So these are the 4 thematic areas where we think that we need to bring and focus our research efforts. What we did up until now and what we will do in the future, on one hand, we had already a policy forum. We presented our ideas to the all EU member states. 10 countries were signing up, 10 BIOEAST countries were signing a declaration, common declaration, signed by 10 agriculture and 10 research ministers. This declaration, it was sent also to the Western Balkan countries ministers, and we expect that soon, during the upcoming basically 2 months, we will have most of the Western Balkan countries countries joining to this declaration at political level. Now, what we also see that we would like to work together closely with the Commission. That's why we also initiated a Council conclusion in the Competitiveness Council. I don't want to bore you with all these very EU-level discussions. Just it's important that the European Commission it's also should think together with us, with these countries, and should co-invest if we want to do a common research and innovation initiative. And we will have a high-level conference, and I would welcome you to register for this high-level conference in Budapest, 4 and 6 December. Basically, we start to discuss around the 4 thematic areas, as I was mentioning: soil, freshwater, food system, and biomanufacturing at local level. By this, I would like to thank for your attention. That was my message towards you, towards the Western Balkan countries. I know that it was not a kind of presentation which is immediately saying that how you have to valorize the biomass. But since I was preparing myself, that the audience is mostly from the ministries, from the policy level, maybe some research institutes also listening me. I very much was keen on to show you that we need the engagement also from your countries, from your ministries, to be able to valorize the local biomass. We need to invest a little bit more on research and innovation, and we need to mobilize through the research and innovation our policymakers and future policies. I stop here. Thank you very much for your attention. I am available for questions. I hope I was not too long and not too boring for you.
Perfect in time, and thanks a lot for highlighting those different issues. Let's see who would like to ask some first questions from the audience. Okay, George, University of Novi Sad. He's our regional expert as well, working on Green Deal issues with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I firstly want to thank you for your very informative and very professional presentation. I congratulate you on this. I have several aspects, maybe remarks and maybe questions. First of all, to advertise our Horizon project dealing with bioeconomy. It's called RIBES. I can put the link in the chat. This project is dealing with bioeconomy in regions where the bioeconomy is recognized as a sector at a very low level or at the beginning of its development. One of these is Serbia and in general Western Balkans, Romania, Bulgaria, also Croatia, some parts of Greece, as well as Slovakia. Nevertheless, within the project, we deal with the term social innovation. I'm an engineer from background, and I agree that we also need to boost social innovation in order to expand the bioeconomy in our region. But it is not the only solution. Also, technological solution from my side would be another part of the story. So we are taught about several good examples with social innovation, and these are very specific. I recognize that, okay, this is very good, successful story, but applied in very specific case. And it could not boost bioeconomy at regional or national level. We need technological innovations, as you mentioned today, biorefineries. And for example, cereal straw is the largest biomass byproduct in Serbia. Similar is very similar is in nearby countries. And I see biorefinery as the only solution to also to integrate other sectors like energy, environmental protection, agriculture, and so on and so on. Added value is, of course, very important. Serbia, for example, is very at a low development in using biomass with added value. We have some very individual cases of using biomass with this aspect. But besides bioenergy, for example, using biomass in biogas plants, no significant use is recognized. And I wanted to ask you, what is your concrete opinion? How can we contribute to use of biomass with added value, with maybe technological and social innovation in common?
I will, Barna, feel free to react immediately, or I would collect maybe one or two more comments. If
okay, then collect
let's
and
see.
then
Let's see if there are more, because it was the only hand raised at that point. But maybe some more comments could be coming in right now, or otherwise I'll let Barna react.
Okay, then I react, and maybe some of the colleagues will have some thoughts. So I didn't want to make it too formal, my presentation, even if it was it was coming too formal. But please feel free, and you can ask whatever question of you is coming to your mind, even if you are not from this field. So answering to the question, or trying to answer some of the questions based on what it was presented in the comment. Yes, we clearly see that there are some projects in Eastern Europe. Even more, we clearly know that there are sectors, big sectors of bioeconomy working in the different Central and Eastern European countries. Despite that, we still lag behind on adding value to the biomass, because our biomass is valorized in the lowest level. In the best case, I would say, we are burning our biomass, so we are using for energy uses our biomass. That's the lowest level of adding value to the biomass. Even though, when I'm going in at local level in different regions in the different countries, even that energy use of the biomass, it's already a big step of not living on the ground or not exporting as a raw material. So for some regions, that's already an adding value process of producing energy from the local biomass. However, that was we should know that this is the lowest level of adding value to the biomass. What you were mentioning, that you have few good examples, and that cannot be applied in any other parts of the country, or maybe not another region. It is very important what you are saying, because that's what we also trying to argue towards the EU and towards towards, so to say, bigger EU institutions, that if we have a good research project which was developing a technology somewhere in Europe, that not immediately applicable in the other parts of Europe. So we cannot immediately apply and put it something which was developed in one part of Europe on the other part of Europe. We still need excellence-based research to adapt those good examples. And that's why we were proposing actually this research and innovation action and partnership. And there are still a lot of confusion, and there is a lot of, I feel, not necessarily supportive approach from the different countries, because they do not understand that why we should reinvest and spend research and innovation money if already was some technology developed somewhere. So it is very important to explain to them that adapting those solutions to the local conditions, not to mention to local climate conditions, this is totally different when it's somebody developed on the Mediterranean area or an Atlantic part or in the northern part and or in the eastern part or a continental area. So that's why we still need to argue for the diversification of the bioeconomy. I was very much mentioning in my presentation these diversification aspects, and that's a little bit the answer for you also for the question on providing good examples and how we can better use. I do not want to mention that aspects which I was facing, and I know that this is a big problem in our countries, and this is not a problem of other countries or European level, that if we don't have a national strategy on bioeconomy, if the bioeconomy terminology is not defined at national level, then it's very difficult that you, as who were producing a good example in the country, to implement in any other place, because it cannot be supported. Your ministry will be very much keen on to define what and where should that good example be attached. Maybe I'm not sure whether I can explain you. I am explaining you in a good way. The issue here is that the ministries, they have their own scope. Agriculture ministry, the different industrial ministry, research ministry, and if there is no bioeconomy definition at ministerial legislative level, then for them it's very difficult to deal with such good examples, and even they are not promoting those examples. So what we need also to achieve, and that's my message here, that at national level we have strategic thinking, or at least at regional level you have a bioeconomy strategy, bioeconomy definition, how you define the bioeconomy, and those good examples on social and technological innovation then can be attributed to the respective ministries who are dealing with the bioeconomy. That would be my other answer. I think with the straw and biomanufacturing adding value, I already answered you in my answer, but just correct me if I was not giving you the proper answer.
Yes, thank you.
So I have also a question. No, Branka has one about the investors in bioeconomy. If you have some content and some evidence or some hunch, why are they not entering the region?
What about the investor background? They are not entering the. Okay, so that's a complex question. On one hand, we have a presentation as I was doing for you in Eastern European countries, in EU Eastern European countries, we have the same question. But when we are looking behind what is looked for, and I was touching a little bit in my presentation, it's not the same when you are looking for a ready-made technology, which was somewhere already developed, or you want to develop a technology during the process or to have a pilot or demonstration plan. These are two different aspects. On one hand, the pilot and demonstration level can be well financed at European level, so can be co-contributed by even non-refundable funds from the EU or European level. But when you are buying a ready-made technology, that's already a market-based technology, and the good question is whether it's how green and how sustainable is. There are some funds also for the ready-made technologies. The European Investment Bank has a fund, Bioeconomy Fund, and they are investing in. But still, even the investors have a problem to find their possibilities in a country where the bioeconomy is not defined at strategic level or in action plan level. So that's why the investors are struggling to gather the possibilities where they can invest in our countries. Usually they are coming for on the lowest level of adding value to the biomass. They want just to pack the biomass and export in a raw form. This should be a little bit helped from national level. When you are starting to think in strategic way on valorization of the biomass, then you can already ask the investors to not just export, so to say, the raw material, but start to invest in modern biorefinery, on modern biorefineries. So in what I would like to say, there are some money on the European Investment Bank level. You should also think in terms of IPA on the funds, pre-accession funds, which you have for your availability, that it has to be programmed well in advance if you want to spend on these directions. So the IPA, it's pre-programmed, so you cannot, today you cannot ask to spend on research and innovation on a specific aspect if it was not developed in well in advance for the specific measures and impact. So in the coming years, you can already program the IPA funds in a way to have a specific bioeconomy focus, and then you can spend it also. Moreover, I would like to add here that usually we are looking just for international funds to invest in bioeconomy, but I would urge that if we really want to keep the value added in our countries, first we need to have a national funds which are a little bit funding the national projects, developing for TRL level. Now I am using, sorry, this terminology, technology readiness level of technology on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is not at market readiness, but a little bit on the technology readiness level, lower technology readiness level in the country. Otherwise, when an investor is coming in a country and investing from the lowest technology readiness level, that would mean that they are bringing out the profits also from the country. So you need a national investment first, and then you bring in international funding into the investments. I'm not sure whether I touched a lot of things on this financing aspect, but I tried to give you just a hint that where you can think. And
in particular for policy answers, is very important to have this kind of ladder of national investment that needs to be aligned on a regional level and with the EU level. And I think we see BioEast also as one of the tools that could be used in these terms of aligning a priority that is actually a shared priority, or should be, based on all your arguments as well. So
exactly.
And I mean, with the stakeholder landscape of I think the circular bio-based joint undertaking that you mentioned, there are some instruments, but they're very difficult to access. Actually, the joint undertaking is still very unknown in the region and also very far away in some sense. So I think BioEast could be a very good platform to join together. And you mentioned also that BioEast is supported by projects. And I thought to ask you if you could highlight just briefly also what is your perspective into the future for engaging with the Western Balkans in the frame of these kind of projects? What is an ideal outcome for you, and maybe with this kind of like the most positive future scenario of collaboration within the framework of BioEast? We probably have to close as time has been flying, but yeah.
Okay, then yes, I was not mentioning the BIOEAST was created in 2015, basically 16. And after then, there was no financing behind the ministries. They are financing themselves. But then the Commission see the value, and the EU members, they see the value in the BIOEAST, and there was launched a call for different projects. And one project was helping for 3 years the bioeconomy, the BIOEAST Initiative, in which we were working mostly on policy aspects, mobilizing the governmental level. So we had to connect the different ministries. Our ministries are and still are, unfortunately, thinking very silo-based. Agriculture, forestry, industry, research, they are different entities, they are not connected. And with the we called it BIOEAST setup, we try to mobilize the policy level. Now we have a new project. It's called Boost for BIOEAST, and that's what you saw. This project started to engage the stakeholder level. That's why you see also the manifesto which was put in place. It's coming from the stakeholder level, and we want to engage the different stakeholders from the region, including the Western Balkan. And via that project, we would like to show the different aspects. On one hand, we will mobilize financing or financing aspects, but also we would like to develop an action plan for the different countries, action plan on bioeconomy. So we aim to develop some specificities on the different countries, and we wish to engage also the Western Balkan in this process. Also for the future, the near future, we wish to map the capacities, research funding capacity and research management capacity in bioeconomy in the Western Balkan countries, because we would like to build up this new partnership which I was mentioning to you. And I firmly think that we should engage all the countries directly from the Western Balkan, not just that having an entity which is coordinating on behalf of them, but to engage the ministries and the expert level from these countries. And I am very much looking forward to engage them in the BIOEAST initiative and to have a common work together with them during the coming 2 years, where we can engage them better in this whole process. And hopefully then also the national level policy making will realize this bioeconomy, the need to invest in bioeconomy in the near future. So that's for the future, our perspective. You are muted.
I am. Thanks for. Yeah, for me that sounds quite promising, concrete. Hopefully, it turns out. I'm crossing the fingers. These 2 years, you have already the funding, and maybe yeah, I'm crossing my fingers for some more funds to come in and some more initiatives, including the national strategies and action plans that you're calling for. And yeah, everyone who listens to us now live or in the recording, I hope you also feel inspired to contribute with your steps and get in touch with Barna and other bioeconomy stakeholders. Unfortunately, we have indeed to close for today's webinar, but yeah, I remain with saying thank you for your attention, and stay in touch. And yeah.
Thank you very much also on my behalf. Thank you very much, and feel free to contact me anytime with any questions, and I will try to help in this process, any of the country stakeholders. So I am open for all the questions in the future and requests. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be here with you.